Welcome back to Cobo Center for the SAE Detroit Section meeting. Tonight's featured vehicle is a 2011 Chevrolet Volt. Stay tuned for more remarks from tonight's featured speakers right here on AmericaJR.com.
We're able to reduce the volume of the battery by 40% and still get this thing into production with technology that was on the verge of development at the same time. What we put into the Chevrolet Volt was a 16 kilowatt hour battery, total energy, about 10 kilowatt hours usable. When we started this journey, we were so conservative, we said, you know what, let's not stick our neck out too far. Let's figure out what we can do. We had about 50% state of charge usage, so about 8 kilowatt hours. What we found with working with a great partner like LG Chem, who I'll talk about in a minute, this battery exceeded every test we threw at it, every control system, everything we wanted to do with it. LG was able to keep pulling and pushing to develop the technology, so we were able to utilize more of the battery. High energy and high power. We didn't want a great electric car that was slow and non-conforming. We wanted a spirited, exciting car that we could deliver to the program team. So we had to give the powertrain team the ability to pull on this battery as hard as they want, when they want, at any time. In fact, up to 100 miles an hour, you can drive this thing electrically. Want to be able to charge in a reasonable amount of time, 4 hours. If you have a home plug-in station with a 240 volt system, or about 10 hours for a 120 volt system. It had to last a long time. Lithium-ion was in every cell phone, every BlackBerry around the world. The reality is, after a year and a half, it didn't work too well. What do? You throw it in the recycling bin, you get another one. You're not happy about the price, but you go out and you do that. We had to live to at least 10 years of life, over 150,000 miles. Not a small task for a new team. The way we did this, we wanted to work with enabling technologies. How do we take all the experience of General Motors, pull it all together, and leverage the best of the best? So we had a great vehicle design and concept. We had a great battery now that was selected with LG Chem, I'll talk about here. And then we took our expertise in sophisticated controls, which we think is a core competency of General Motors. And we really started in the engine and transmission control sectors. And we also had to manage it thermally. And we pulled together all of our thermal management team to really take advantage of our learnings. But batteries and cells are not alike. A lot of people say, well, I have a lithium battery. They think that you go to the store, you buy a lithium battery, they're all the same. As some of you in the room know, that's not true. There's many different types of lithium ion. Basically comprised of an anode and cathode, separator in between with electrolyte. But as you see on this chart, there's many different formulas. I call this my chocolate cake graph. Everybody loves chocolate cake. Your mom or dad probably was the best chocolate cake in the world. But I guarantee you the ingredients weren't the same. But we still call it the same thing. So what we had to do is work with the supply base and figure out what would meet all of our balance requirements in the vehicle, optimize them to get the best of the best. We think we selected that with the Chevrolet Volt. What was our approach? We decided to take the in-house in areas that we had expertise, core expertise over the last 100 years that we've developed. That's in our design, our development, our validation, and our manufacturing. Some of the best manufacturing engineers in the world were put on this to figure out how do we take this and produce a battery. The enablers were, we wanted to be a smart buyer. We didn't want to just pick anybody or anything. We wanted to learn ourselves along the way with a supplier that wanted to teach us as we worked with them. We took our expertise in car engineering and integration. They took their cells. We worked side by side with LG. System engineering was a must for us to do this. We had to understand the variation that was in this environment. And we wanted to take and develop our own systems, our battery systems lab, to make sure we had the best capability on the planet. To find that supplier with LG Chem, who really in the end won the business based on a lot of attributes, they had to understand high volume. They're one of the largest cell phone battery producers in the world. They had to be able to understand battery life and failure modes. We had to make sure these cars are safe. Abuse tolerance, endurance over long periods of time. Open and be transparent with us as a supplier. We weren't interested in a black box. That is not how we wanted to move forward, and we found a partner for us. They need to understand the raw materials. They need to have a deep and rich R&D commitment, and they do. If you look at how we started this process back in 2007, we literally had a global phone call with anybody that had battery on their business card or their website and said, we're going to talk to you about a new project. We're very interested in what you can bring to offer to General Motors. On that call and afterwards, we had 155 different solutions submitted. Some of them were really good. Some of them are in the middle, and some of them had great advertising or connections to senior leadership. We were not going to take that as a path to select ours based on who could write the best letter to our CEOs or our senior leadership. We were going to dig into the details and went through a qualification process, which we use as standard work now. After the 155, we started asking the harder questions, ones that we actually knew what we're talking about. Many of them dropped out and went down to 60. Soon after that, we actually got their samples in the cells in about the May 2007 timeframe. We immediately narrowed it down to 2 different battery suppliers, or cell suppliers. And finally, in April 2008, we selected LG Chem as our partner. I can say, without any doubt, they've been a fantastic partner for us to work with. There's a lot of challenges in the battery development we had to go through and live with. We haven't talked about automotive safety, something that maybe the cell phone suppliers in the world weren't really used to. The cost, this is a very expensive product to put in the first generation. Automotive life requirements, as I mentioned earlier, and the quality. A Six Sigma mentality around the design and process capability. Supplier, OEM, R&D, teamwork all the way. We also decided to embark on one of the largest battery labs in North America for an OE. And we knew this was core to us. We were not going to go into the model of buying just a black box. We wanted to know what's going on inside the cell, outside the cell. How does it work? How does it perform? So we developed, and we have currently running, we're on a 3rd expansion of this lab. I think one of this is the state-of-the-art lab in North America and maybe around the world.
Ricky. I'm very honored to be here this evening to represent the team that invented and developed not only the propulsion system, but the Volt vehicle. And I have many things I'm anxious to tell you about the propulsion system in a few minutes here that I have to do that. And when I talk about the team, the main initiative of the team was to utilize that battery energy that Mickey just talked about as efficiently as possible so that we can benefit the customer by providing the maximum electric range possible. And so that is the motivation, and that's going to be a constant theme as I walk you through the propulsion system of the Volt. And so Mickey talked about the battery. You can see from the drawing in front of you, the battery is positioned right at the heart of the vehicle. The other propulsion system components are outlined here. Many of them you can see under hood. You can see the power inverter. You can see the electric drive unit. You can see the engine, the internal combustion engine that provides that unique range extending capability. Of course, you have to have the AC and DC cabling in place to transfer all of that energy. If you were to look under the hood, you know, what is this Volt? We talk about an electric vehicle with extended range. Well, what is that? If you were to look under the hood, this is what you would see. You would see on the right side a power inverter module. You would see the AC and DC cables in orange that I talked about. And sort of located underneath those cables is the electric drive unit. And that electric drive unit is an on-axis arrangement with the internal combustion engine that's sort of positioned horizontally on the chart. And of course, we deliver torque to the wheels through the axles, through the half shafts, from the output of that electric drive unit. Okay, so here's a model of the drive unit. If you actually look inside what's in there, I already talked about the on-axis arrangement. 2 electric motors, a traction motor that's capable of utilizing 111 kilowatts of power from the battery, 370 newton meters of torque, a generator capable of 55 kilowatts, 1 planetary gear set, there is a gear reduction, final drive, and 3 clutches. And so let me sort of take that and dissect it, because we'll use this dissected model that we're going to create here to walk you through the various modes of operation. So the most predominant feature that you see in this model is the large traction motor. The generator motor is in this model, but it's sort of tucked in the middle. You can't see it quite as well. And then packaged, well, inside that traction motor is a planetary gear set. Also sort of packaged inside that traction motor are 2 clutches. 1 clutch that lets you ground or hold the ring gear, and another clutch that enables coupling the generator to the ring gear. There's a 3rd clutch then that's sort of packaged in the ID, inside diameter of that generator, and that will allow coupling of the internal combustion engine to the generator. There's then gear reduction and final drive ratio about 2.16 to 1.